Welcome to this project. In this project, we're going to create a Next authentication app. We're going to use Clerk for seamless user authentication, and we're going to use MongoDB in our backend to store user information. This is going to be a great boilerplate for your future projects. It includes all the features you need for authentication, like signing, sign up, forgot password, email verification, and etc. Let me show you an overview for this project. You can have access to these projects on this URL, auth.100jsprojects.com. So we have a home page, very simple home page. We have an about page. Then we have sign in button here. So when we click on it, we are going to be redirected to the signing page. Here we have the ability to sign in with Facebook, GitHub, and Google, or with email address or username. And also we can sign up here with the same accounts and also with the first name, last name, username, email, and password. Let me sign in with a Gmail account, for example, this one. Once you sign in, you have the avatar on the right side, so you can click on it. Here you can manage your account, you can sign out, and you see the name and the username. You can change your avatar by updating the profile. You can upload your image. The image is going to be uploaded in the Clerk storage, so you don't need to take care of the storage for this one. Also, you have the ability to change your username. You can add more email addresses or different accounts like Facebook and GitHub. And also you can delete your account here or change your password. All these features is going to be available for us by Clerk, and we can easily integrate Clerk with our application and use all these features. And also the data is going to be stored after the sign up or sign in inside the MongoDB database, and we are going to use Mongoose to connect with the MongoDB and easily do the creation, delete, and edit of the accounts. After building the projects, we're going to deploy it to Vercel for free, so you can share it with others and put it in your portfolio. We're going to learn all the features provided by Clerk, including how to use webhooks to connect with the database like MongoDB. And also all the codes will be available inside this GitHub repository, which the links for it is going to be available inside the description. Before we start the installation part, I want to tell you about a great learning tool I've been using to learn AI and Python programming. Brilliant, the sponsor of this video. Brilliant is a platform where you learn by doing, with many interactive lessons in math, data analysis, programming, and AI. It helps you think critically through problem solving, not just by memorizing. With Brilliant, you'll gain real knowledge on specific topics and become a better thinker. They offer many programming courses that are perfect for building a strong foundation and learning real-world applications. You can get started with Python and build programs right away using their easy drag-and-drop editor. You can learn essential coding elements like loops, variables, nesting, and etc. You can also develop your skills to think like a programmer and write strong programs. If you're interested, visit brilliant.org/Sahand or scan the QR code on the screen for a 30-day free trial. Plus, using the link, which is also available in the video description, you'll gain a 20% discount on Brilliant annual premium subscription. A big thank you to Brilliant for sponsoring this video. In the next section, we're gonna install Next.js and Tailwind CSS, and we're gonna start creating the first template of our project. So see you in the next section. Alright, let's start our project. As you can see, I have put the final version here, so we can use for our reference. So each section, I'm gonna show you the final version first, and then we're gonna create it step by step. And also I have put this diagram inside the eraser.io. We're gonna follow all these instructions here, how to create the folders and files, to create our pages, the API routes, components, and etc. I'm gonna share this link with you so you can also have this diagram and you can use it for your reference, and also you can modify it according to your needs. So the first things we need to do is actually, when we start, we're gonna create a new Next app using this utility, npx create Next app. As you can see here, this is going to create some folders and files for us. And also we want to create it inside a folder called Next-Auth. So let's start doing that. So first we go and create a folder for our project. So I'm going to create it inside this folder project. I'm going to create a new folder. I'm going to call it Next-Auth. And then I'm going to open it up with the Visual Studio Code. So let's make it, maximize it now. As you can see, the default folder is Next-Auth. Then we're going to go to Google and search for Next.js. We're going to go to nextjs.org. Here, what we want to do is to create on Get Started. We go to Installation. Make sure that you have Node.js installed in your computer with the version 18.17 or later. Then for automatic installation, we just need to use this utility. We can copy this and go back to Visual Studio Code and open our terminal. We can go to View and open Terminal, or you can use Ctrl backtick to open it. So here, I'm going to paste the code as we want to create it inside this folder, Next.auth. So I'm going to add a dot here to create this one inside this folder instead of making a new folder. So I'm going to press enter. So I don't want to use TypeScript, but if you want to use it, you can press yes. S-link we want to use to have some correction in our code. Then we're going to have Tailwind CSS. We want to use src directory, and also we want to use the app router. For alias, I just say no. I want to keep the default alias, which is going to help us to easily import different components in our project. So this is going to install the packages we need, like React, React-DOM, and Next, and some dev dependencies for Tailwind CSS here. All right, so the installation is completed. We have our folders and files here. So let's go back to our eraser.io and we see what we have here. So we're going to have a public folder for the public files. This is going to be accessible for the users who are using our website, like images and etc. favicons. It's going to be inside this public folder. Then we have another folder here, src, which is going to have everything we're going to create inside our application. The pages is going to be inside a folder called app. We're going to create all these pages, and also we're going to have some components like loader and header. For the MongoDB connection, we're going to create a separate folder structure, and also we're going to have this global.css for styling our project. We're going to have the layout.js to have the layout. If you look at the final version, for example, this header is inside all pages. So this is going to be included inside the layout. So we don't need to add it in every pages. So we're going to only add it inside the layout. And the home page is going to be this page.js. So let's go back to Visual Studio Code. So the public folder is going to have our public assets. Then we have the src folder, which is having, this is the home page, page.js. We have the global.css for styling, and also layout for adding the layout, as I mentioned. Let's clean up this projects a little bit. Let's first open it inside the browser and see what we have. So if you run npm run dev here, the project is going to be available for us. Now my port 3000 is in use, but it's going to create it inside the port 3001. So if you keep your control and click here, this is going to open it inside your browser. My default browser is Chrome. So as you can see, we have this default page that is created by Next.js. And in order to edit this, you can see that we can edit this file, page.js, inside the app directory inside the src folder. So let's bring this one to the right side and this Visual Studio Code to the left side. I'm gonna clean up this page a little bit. So inside the page.js, I'm gonna delete everything. And then I'm gonna use RFC to create a React functional component. If you don't get this suggestion, you need to install a library, an extension here called ES7 React Redux. This extension, you just search this one and you're gonna have this utility RFC, and you're gonna have this React functional component. So I'm gonna change this page to home. So this is going to be our home page. If we now refresh the page, we should see the changes here. As you can see, we have some kind of weird styling here. This is kind of a style that is added automatically here inside the global.css. We can get rid of everything except the first 3 lines, which is applying the base styling. So I'm going to delete everything here. So this is going to solve our problem. And then if you want to test your Tailwind CSS, you can just add a class name here. For example, I want to make the text to be red. So if you make it red, this is going to be like that. So if it's not working for you, you need to go the steps again. And then we want to create a GitHub repository for our application. So later, when we want to deploy our application, we need that GitHub repository, and also we're gonna save each section. So and then you can compare your code with my code in this GitHub repository. So we just search GitHub, and then we go to github.com. Here, make sure you are signed in. So here you can just go to your when you are signed in, you can just click here in this plus icon and then click on new repository. So here we create a name for this repository. I'm gonna call it Next-Auth-App, and the description is going to be Next Authentication using Clerk and MongoDB. So you can keep it private, but I want to keep it public so you can check this GitHub repository as well. So I'm going to create this GitHub repository. So in order to add this one to our projects, Next.js is going to create this initialization, commit, and get add. We just need to add these 3 lines of code. Let me check. So inside this source control, the only things we need to add is these 2 codes that we have changed inside here. So I'm gonna add this one. I'm just create a message. For example, we just say install Next.js and Tailwind CSS and create the first template. So I'm gonna commit this. So what we want to do now, we go here and copy these 3 lines of code and paste it in our Visual Studio Code. I'm going to open a new terminal and paste these 3 lines of code. This is going to create the branch, make the origin, and also upload the code to our GitHub repository. Now, if we just refresh the page, we should see all our code here. Let me decrease the size. So as you can see, we have all the files and folders that we have created in our project. And also I'm gonna add this final version here so you can also have access to it easily in this GitHub repository. So each time I'm gonna commit each section, so you can easily, if you need some help, you can just come here based on this section of the video. You can come and click, for example, here, and see the changes that I have done in that particular part. All right. So in the next section, we're going to create a new component called header, and we're gonna put this header inside our layout.js here inside the app folder. So it's going to be available in all pages. So we're going to focus on this header in the next section. So see you in the next section. All right, in the last section, we have installed Next.js and Tailwind CSS, and we have created the first template of our project. In this section, we're going to create the header section of our project. So what we want to do for the header, we want to put it inside the layout file. Let me zoom this. So this layout file is going to be inside our app directory, and this is going to create whatever you put inside this layout is going to be in all pages. You can see here we have different pages like about, sign in, sign out, and etc. So this layout is going to cover everything that is inside these pages. So what we want to do is to create a new component called header. We want to design our header, and then we want to put it inside this layout.js to be able to have it in all our pages. So let's go back to Visual Studio Code. And then here, we're gonna create a new folder inside the src folder called components. And then here, we're gonna create a new file called header.jsx. And we're gonna create a React functional component. And we wanna add this one to our layout here. So as you can see in the layout, now we have kind of metadata. So this is going to be in all pages. For example, the title, I'm going to change it to next of description. Let's see, next of with Clerk and MongoDB. So this title and description is going to be in all pages. And then this children is going to be the page inside the layout. And whatever you want to add to all pages, you want to add outside this children. For example, we want to add that header.js. We want to import that at the top. Here, we're going to import the header, and then we want to close this tag. Now we're going to see this header in all pages. Let me show you what I mean by that. If you go here, firstly, you can see the title is changed to next of, and then the header is at the top of the home page. For example, here, if you want to create another page, for example, I want to make the about page. So let's create a folder called about. So let me show you what I mean by creating a page here first. So in order to create a page, for example, about, you need to create a folder called about in Next.js. App directory works like that. So first you create a folder called about, lowercase, and then inside this folder, you're going to have a file called page.js or page.jsx. So the way that app directory works is it's going to create this one as /about. So this is going to be your about page. The home page is going to be just a file, page.js. Sign in and sign out is a bit different because we want to create it with the Clerk. So we're going to have an extra protection folder, but the about or is like not protected pages is going to be like this, just a folder and a file, and then we're going to have that page. So here I've created a folder called about, then I'm going to create a file called page.jsx, and if we just create a React functional component, we're going to have that page. So now inside the browser, if I go to /about, we're going to have the about page. As you can see, this about, and also we have the header in this page as well, because we have added the header inside the layout.jsx. So let's create our header component. I'm not going to spend much time on the design and how to add the Tailwind CSS codes. I just want to add them and explain, but you can have these codes in the GitHub repository so you can easily get access to the codes. But I'm going to explain more on the technicality point of the codes, how to create the authentication, and explain the functionalities, not the design. So designs are very actually simple. So if you look at the final version, you can just see that we have a logo on the left side. The logo has 2 letters, each of them with different color. And also we have the menu on the right side. So which is very easy to create. We just need to have a UL component with some li inside. and then we're going to have some gap between them. I'm going to show you what I mean by that by creating the header.js. So first thing first, we want to have the header. So this is going to be good for SEO. And inside this header, we're going to have firstly the logo and the other things. First, we need to add a div here. And inside this div, we're going to have the logo first. So here, I want to add the logo. Let me just quickly grab the logo and put it here. So here, we're going to have this logo. I'm going to explain it real quick. So let me decrease the size. So this is going to be a link tag, which is coming from, we need to import it from next/link, which is going to prevent the refreshing of the page when we click on that link. It is going to go to the /, which is the home page. Then we're going to have one span for the word off, and then another one for the word app. So each of them has different color. For example, it has a gradient color from left to right. It starts from blue and goes to purple. And with the hover effect, it's going to be an hover effect. But when we have a group, so we want to group these things. When we hover over both of them, we're going to have the hover effect. So it's very simple. And if you have any problem, you let me know. I'm going to explain you the details if you need to know about the specific class name. These headers, actually, they're going to have some class name as well. Let me add them. So they're going to have a background color with the gradient color from blue to purple. We're going to have a shadow at the bottom of the header. And also we want to limit the size of the header to 6XL and bring them to the center using MX Auto. And also we want to add some padding of 3. Now, if we look at the final version here, you can see now we have the logo on the left side. We have a background color. And then now we want to add the menu on the right side. So let's go back to Visual Studio Code. I'm going to add that one as well. Okay, let me just put the code here. This is just a simple navbar with the UL account. And then here, inside the UL tag, we have 3 link tag, which is going to go to the home page, about, and sign in. And also we have a gap between them. So if you look now, we can see these 3. So if you click on home, we're going to go to home page without refreshing the page. About, sign in, we haven't created yet. So we're going to create it once we add clerk in our project. So that was it for adding the header in our project. Let's add this one to the GitHub. So I'm going to add this one. And then I'm going to create the header component. So we're going to commit and push. So if you come back to our GitHub repository now, if you refresh the page, you can see this new section. And if you have any problems, or if you want to just grab the code, so you can just come here and see the changes. And also you can grab this code for the header.js. So you can easily continue for the important part of our project, which is the authentication. So in the next section, we're going to work on the creating the pages like sign in, sign up, and we're going to connect with the clerk. I'm going to show you how to do that. So see you in the next section. All right, in the last section, we have completed our header section, as you can see from this page. And also we have added this header component inside the layout.jsx. So now we can have this header in all pages, including the home page, about page, and etc. In this section, we're going to work on the sign in, sign up, and authentication functionality using Clerk. If you look at the final version, let me test this one for you. So if you click on this sign in button, which is a component from Clerk, when we click on it, we're going to be redirected to a page with the address /sign in. Then we have some redirect URL. And it's going to have the logo of our application. I'm going to teach you how to add this logo, how to have this text. Then we have some providers like Facebook, GitHub, and Google. And also we can sign in with the email or username. So for example, let's try to make an application with Google. So when we click on Google, we're gonna be redirected to a page to choose one of our Gmail accounts. So I'm gonna choose this one. Let's click on continue. As you can see now, we are redirected to the home page, and here we see an avatar with the image coming from Google. So when we click on it, you can see we have this name. I've chosen the username before. We can modify that one. And also we can sign out, and also we can manage our account. So when we click on manage, as you can see now, we can change even our image profile. Actually, Clerk is gonna provide us with the storage for the image as well, so we don't need to worry about having a storage for the image. And also we can change our username. If you don't have a username at the beginning, you're gonna ask you to create one. For example, I'll just call it Sahand. Also, you can add other emails. You can delete your account. You can even set a password if you wanna sign in with username and password. So let me sign out again. And this time we're gonna have this sign up page. So the sign up page is going to be with a different URL, /sign up, and it has all these providers like Google, GitHub, and Facebook. Or we can sign up with the first name, last name, username, email, and password. Clerk is going to check our password as well, and also is gonna send an email to verify the account we have. So we don't need to worry about anything using Clerk. So for creating these pages, sign up and sign in, if you look at the eraser, we can see I have created here. So we need to have a folder inside the app folder. We're gonna have two folders, one for signing, one for sign up. Each of them has a folder with this name, double bracket, 3 dots, and sign in. For sign up, we do the same thing. This is a mandatory and recommended by Clerk to create the pages. And inside here, we're gonna have the page.jsx as usual. And then we're gonna have this signing and sign up page. So the first step, you can use the link in the description to go to Clerk, or you can just search Clerk on Google and go to clerk.com. Here, we need to sign in. It's completely free to use, and also it has a very generous free tiers for 10,000 users a month. You can use it for free. So you can just go to the dashboard if you have an account, and here we need to create a new application. So I'm gonna go to my account here. Let's create a new application. So let's create, if you need to choose which options you want for your signing, you can have different types of things. They have even MetaMask, they have Apple, GitHub, Microsoft, LinkedIn, everything you need. The things I want to use is email, Google, I want to add Facebook, and also GitHub. So as you can see, the layout is like this, and you have email address. So you can have a username as well. So they're going to ask you username. So this is going to be your signing and sign up UI. So once we click on create, let's create an application name. For example, I'm just going to call it, for example, Next Off app, for example. So this is going to be the name showing inside this sign into Next Off app. We can add the logo later once we create our application. So we click on here and we're gonna create our application here. You can use Clerk for different frameworks like Next, React, Remix, and etc. I'm gonna use Next.js. So as we're using Next.js, we're gonna firstly install Clerk, and we're gonna set the environmental variables, and then we're gonna create a middleware to use it. So let's copy this code, and we go back to Visual Studio Code, and we're gonna paste it inside the terminal here to install it. So that's the first step. The second step is to create a .env.local file and add our secret files, the secret keys, the clerk secret key and also the next public clerk publishable key. Both of them are necessary for our application. We just need to copy this and we go back to Visual Studio Code and we need to create that .env file inside the root directory. I'm going to show you here. So let me zoom back here. You can see that inside the root directory, we have .env.local file. And also we need to create the middleware.js file, which is necessary for Clerk inside the src folder. So let's create those. So here inside the root directory, let's just click outside and click on new file. We just say .env.local. And here we're going to paste the code that we have copied from Clerk. So now in the next step, we have installed already. We have added the .env.local file. The next step is to create a middleware.ts or JS if you're using JavaScript instead of TypeScript and copy all these codes. This is going to have some matchers for your which is needed to check your application. So I'm going to copy this and we go back to Visual Studio Code. Inside the src folder, I'm going to create another file and this is going to be middleware.js. And this is just, we paste the code here from Clerk. So this is going to import Clerk middleware from this address and this is going to call this function with this config. So that's it for the third step. In the next step, as it's just show an example how to use Clerk. But the main concept is to add the Clerk provider and wrap all our application with the Clerk provider, which is kind of when you want to have a global state, when you want to create, for example, Redux or something, you want to cover everything. So your all application is will be protected by Clerk. And also we can have a sign out button, sign in button. This is a kind of component. So when you are signed out, you see everything inside it. But when you are signed in, you see only this one. So we can just have kind of these things. But I don't want to add them inside the layout. I want to add them inside my header, these kind of things. I'm going to show you how to do it. First, we want to just cover our application with this Clerk provider. So we can just go back to our Visual Studio Code. We go to layout.js inside the app directory. So here, I'm going to cover everything with that Clerk. So let me just paste this. And this is going to be like here. So now we have everything provided by Clerk. We need to import Clerk as well. Let's just auto import it at the top. So Clerk from clerk/Next.js. So the other things I would like to add inside this layout, the Clerk usually it takes around few seconds until the Clerk show in our application. If you look at the final version and you just pay attention here, if we refresh the page, we see a loader here. Instead of just before detecting if we are logged in or logged out, instead of just showing sign in, sign out button and kind of be confused here by before the Clerk detects if the person is authenticated or not, we're gonna see a loader. So here is very fast, you cannot see it very well, but let me go to another page, maybe you can see it. It's a bit fast, but for people who have internet, if they have an internet with lower speed, maybe it takes longer for them, so they can see a loader instead of flickering, signing, and kind of avatar here. So there is a very simple solution provided by Clerk. So Clerk is going to give us two other things like Clerk loaded. So when we have this one, we know exactly that Clerk is already loaded. And also we have Clerk loading. So when it's loading, we want to see the loader, but when it's completely loaded, we want to see the page. So I'm gonna show you how to do that here. So inside the body section, so what I want to do here, I want to just say clerk loaded. So here we can just have something like here, the saying just loading. First we should say loading, because we want to, when it's loading, we want to show the loader. So let's see what we get here. For example, we want to just say loading here first. And then when the clerk is already loaded, we want to see the application. So I'm going to cover the application until the children with the clerk loaded. So let's see what we get here inside the application. First we refresh. As you can see, we get the loading first and then the application comes. Okay. You can add some other things like a loader or anything similar, but this one is enough. But we can add a loader as well. So we can just create another component. I'm going to show you an example for a loader. So we just say loader.jsx. Let me grab the code and show it and explain to you. Let's paste it here. So it's just a component with a 2div. We're going to bring it to the center. And also it's going to be a red color border with a solid and the height of 10. We just want to spin it with the animation. That's it. So it's very easy to make. You can have a different color based. You can have this loader and change the color based on your interest. And then inside the layout.js, instead of this loading, I'm gonna paste that loader. I'm gonna import it. So now in our application, we should see the loader instead. Now it's a bit fast, but I can just bring this loader here so you can see it. As you can see, the loader is like that. So it's just a border, half border, and then it's gonna span. That's it. It's easy to make. So let's bring back this one to the loading. Now we have the loaded as well. So the next step, if you go to clerk, we want to add this sign in and sign up button. So let's go here, continue, and we go to the next clerk documentation. You can see we have sign in and sign up. We can create these pages. As I mentioned before, we need to create a folder called sign in. Then we have this folder, and then we have page.jsx or tsx, and then we're going to have this. So let's create them in our application. So inside the app directory, I'm going to create a folder called sign in. Then we're going to have a folder with a double bracket, ... sign dash in. And then we're going to have a file called page.jsx. So as you can see, we have a folder, 2 folders, and inside we have this page.jsx. And here we can just grab this code that is provided. We just import sign in from clerk / Next.js, and then we're going to have it here. So we're going to copy this and paste it here. So now we have this page. Let's create the sign up as well. So I'm going to go to app. Let's create sign up sign dash up, and then we have page.jsx. So let's paste this one, but instead of sign in, we're gonna have sign up. So let's go to the next part. So after creating these pages, we need to update our environmental variables. So we need to add these 2 lines inside the .env.local to redirect the user to the /sign in or /sign up when we go to signing or sign up page. So let's grab this code and we go back to .env.local file and we paste them here. So now let's check our application. Now we can go to /sign in. So this is going to be our sign in page, and also we have /sign up for our sign up page. As you can see, all created by clerk automatically for us, which is very convenient. The only change I want to do, I want to bring this one to the center. It's very easy to do that. We just go to our sign in or sign up page, and then we want to add some flex to bring them to the center. So let's go to the signing page first. So here, instead of just having the sign in, I'm gonna have, let's cut this one and add a div here. And inside the div, I'm gonna have this signing, and then here I'm gonna add some display flex, item center, justify center to bring it exactly in the center, and then I'm gonna have a padding of 3. That's it. Let's do the same things for the sign up page. So let's bring this one down. Let's close it. Okay. Let's delete this div. Yeah. Okay, now it's fine. Let's remove these things. Okay, now let's go to our application. As you can see, it's completely in the center, and also we can use this button to go sign up and signing page. As you can see, now we have username, email, and password, but we don't have the first name or last name, and also we don't have this logo. Let me show you how we can add them. So we can go to Clerk, our application. We can just go to, for example, account portal. Let me check customization, avatar. So you can, for the avatar, you can change the color of the avatar. And for the setting, for the logo, you can just click here, go organization setting. Let me see. Let's go to users. We haven't added any users yet. So let's go here. I think you click on next of app and then setting. Okay, now here you can change the name of your application, and also you can add a logo. I've just added a logo here, like saying auth. You can add your own logo, and also for support email, for example, in your sign in, if someone see it, you can just add your email too. For example, I add my email here. It's not mandatory, but it makes it more legit for your users. So we can save this. Let's go to user and authentication. I want to add the first name and last name. So here, as you can see, we even have the email verification code. Here for personal information, I want to add the name. So let's save this. So let's go back to our application. Now, if you refresh the page, we should see a different with the first name and last name. So let me create an application here with the name one time. Let's add this email. The email should be real because they're gonna send you an application code, verification code. Let's add some password. Let's go. So let me check my email. So the email looks like this. Yeah, you have your logo and also verification code. It's very professional. They're gonna send you. So you grab the code and here we're gonna paste it. And it's success. I'm gonna redirect you to the home page. But now we still cannot see the avatar here. We need to add the avatar inside the header section. So what we can do is to go to header.js inside the component. Let me decrease this one. And inside this sign in, we're gonna have a different method. What we wanna do here is to import few things from Clerk. So we just wanna import sign in button from Clerk. Sign in, or signed in. Signed in means we wanna check if the person is authenticated or not. We're gonna check the sign in and also signed out. And also we want to have the user button just showing the avatar. So user button, we're going to import it. And here, instead of this sign in, I'm going to have, so we're going to have, first we want to check if the person is logged in or not. We just say if the person is signed in this case, we want to show the button, the user button. But if the person is signed out, we want to see the sign in button. So we see a button called sign in. If the person is not authenticated, if it's authenticated, we're gonna see the avatar, which is this user button. Let's see what we get here. Now we see the avatar. When we click on it, we see that we have this username, and then we can manage it. Let's update this user, for example. For example, we can upload an image. Let's upload an image. Let's just upload this. And then the image should be bigger. Let's change this image. Let's go to desktop images. Let me choose this one. Okay. Okay, should be a square image. Otherwise we get an error. So let me choose something else. Okay, I have just chosen this image and it's accepted. You can change the first name, last name, and we'll save it. Okay, so now we have this new image with the username. Let's change the username. For example, I can change it. Save here. You can connect your other accounts like Facebook, GitHub, and Google here as well, which is going to be added here. And also you can delete your account or change your password. And if I logged out, we should see a button called sign in. So when we click on it, we're gonna be redirected to the sign in page. So here we can sign in with another account. All right, that was it for adding the clerk to our application. In the next section, we're going to work on a middleware, as we call it, webhooks. So when we sign in, we want to send all these informations, like the user information, to our backend and save it in our database. Otherwise, it's just the UI and in the browser. You have the authentication, but we want to save this information in our database. The information of the users actually is saved inside the clerk. If you go to users, now we can see we have this user. All the information is here, username and etc. You can click on it. As you can see, it has all the information. When it's created, you can ban the user, you can delete it from here. But as if you are using other databases like MongoDB and etc., you need to connect your application, send this information to your database. I'm going to show you how to create a webhooks. So when we are just sign in, the clerk is going to send a request to that API route to save our application. So see in the next section for this part. So before going to the next part, let's add this one to the GitHub. So this is going to be add authentication using clerk. So let's commit and push. So in the next section, we're going to work on the webhooks. See you in the next section. All right, in the last section, we have completed the clerk authentication in the front end. In this section, we're going to work on sending data after the signing up or logging out using a webhooks. So if you go to the clerk documentation, and then here we go to integration on the left sidebar, and here we click on sync clerk data to your application with webhooks. So here there is explanation. It said every event like user.updated or user.created or delete, it is going to trigger and send data to using a webhook. So you can set it up using something called ngrok or ngrok. So this is going to allow you to locally work with the webhooks, because the webhook doesn't allow you to use the localhost 3000. But using ngrok, you can create a fake domain and add that domain to your webhooks configuration, and then we can use it. Otherwise, we can just first deploy our application to Vercel, get the URL, and then add the URL there to be able to use it. So these are steps we need to do. So first thing first, we can just go to vercel.com to deploy our application. So here we can, if you have an account here, you just log in and then here you click on add new project. If you're connected with your GitHub repository in the Vercel, you see all your application. And the application I have now, which we are working on, is Next.js app. So you can just click on import, and this is going to import all the information here. The things we need to do is to add the environmental variables from our application. We need to go to our .env.local file. We just need to copy everything and paste it here. This is going to add all of them, and then we can deploy it. So once we deploy, we get a URL. That URL that is on the internet, it's not localhost. So this is going to enable us to be able to work with Clerk on their webhooks. So if we go to dashboard to Clerk in our application and we go to webhooks, here, let's wait for the loading. So here you can see now we don't have any endpoints. We need to add the endpoint for that. But first we need to wait until Vercel assign us some URL. So it doesn't take so long. It's almost finished. So 48 seconds. I think it's less than 1 minute usually. Okay, it's completed. As you can see, we get the congratulations sign. And once we click on it, we are redirected to our website with this URL. next-off-app-lemon.vercel.app. So we can use this one to create our endpoint. So we can just copy this and go to our dashboard, to webhooks, add the endpoint. So this is going to be the URL, and also we want to add API/webhooks. So we're going to create very soon. We want to create this one. And also we need to install a package called sfix. So first we add this endpoint, and also we want to use this endpoint for users. We want to, when the user is created, deleted or updated, we want to send the data to our backend and save it to our database, which in our case is MongoDB. So we're going to create this first. So this is going to give us a sign-in secret. So we need to copy this sign-in secret and bring it to our local host, to our environmental local. So, and the name we need to use for that, first let me just paste this one. And then once we have that part, let's go to documentation again. So we need to create the endpoint API/webhooks, and then we add it to our secret key to the .env.local file like this. And then we need to create, we have already this middleware. We need to install sfix. So I'm going to install this. Let's go to our Visual Studio Code and paste this code. So we install this one, and then we're gonna create a file inside the app directory. We're gonna create a file called API webhooks and then route.js to be able to have this webhook. So this is going to be the API route. So I'm gonna copy this. We go to Visual Studio Code. Inside the app directory, I'm gonna create a folder called API, then webhooks, and then route.js, and then we're gonna paste this code. So this is created for TypeScript. I'm gonna remove the TypeScript parts like this one, and then we need to delete this. So this is just using sfix to connect to our webhook, to our API route, and then once everything is done, we can get the data for the event type and also the event data. So based on that, we can have some kind of feedback. For example, I want to show you if, for example, event.type is created. I want to, for example, console log user created. So let's, first we need to add this one. We need to deploy the application again to Vercel to have this information, and then we can have the connection. So, and also we need to add this environmental variable. So the name of the environmental variable is webhook_secret. Let's copy this one and put it here. And also we want to add this one to our Vercel. So let's go to Vercel. We go to the dashboard. We go to setting. And here we go to environmental variable and add this webhook here. And we save it. So, and also we need to save this file too, because we have added this one. So event type user created. I want to show you what I mean by that first. So inside the dashboard of the clerk, inside the endpoint, so we have some logs. I want to show you some logs. For example, here we don't have any log, but in our application, for example, here in our application, if I sign in, for example, with the user, this user, and then we go to our dashboard again, we refresh the page, we see that 2 events is already added. One is a session, because when the user is logged in, a session is started, and also a user is updated. So we can see all the information. For example, this email address, something is changed or something is added, so it's updated. So for example, let's try something else. For example, I want to delete this user, or I want to, let's delete this user. We delete this account first. So once we delete it and then we refresh these logs, we can see now we got the event type user deleted. So based on this event type, we can detect what's happening inside this clerk. And then based on that, we're going to send information using the webhook. So here, for example, we said if the event type is user created, just console log user created. We can do the same things, for example, for updated. So let me duplicate this. User updated. Let me remove this. Okay. Okay, now I want to see that if we get this console log or not. We need to get this console log inside Vercel. So first thing first, I want to add these changes that we have done. We commit our message. So here we just say, for example, add, or we just say sync. Let me grab this text here. Sync clerk data to our application with webhooks. And then we can just commit and push. So once we commit and push it, the Vercel is going to detect that and automatically deploy our changes. As you can see, it's automatically building our application as it is detected the changes in our GitHub repository. So we wait for this build and then we're going to test our application. All right, the application is ready. Let's test it. Even you can test it inside the Next auth. So I'm gonna, if you look at first, we go to Vercel, we go to logs. We can see now the last log is the home page. So let's try to log in with a new account. For example, this one, we already deleted this one, so we can sign in again. Let's add the username. And now we are logged in. Let's look at this Vercel. Let's refresh the page here. Here we get some error. So I'm going to check what the error is. So incorrect characters for decoding. Let's see. So /API /hooks, webhooks. We have this request. All right, let's check this API route. So actually, so we have installed SWix. So we have it. All right, I find the problem here in the GitHub here inside this environmental local. I accidentally deleted one letter for the webhook secret. So if you check here, webhook, I check this one and I realized that I deleted the first W here. So let's fix this one, and also we're gonna fix the Vercel. Probably we copied that one wrongly. So we go to the setting environmental variables here, webhook secret. I'm gonna edit this and paste it again and then save it. So let's go to deployment and we deploy this version again. All right, so it's already deployed again. Let's try our application again. Let's go to here and then I'm gonna sign out and sign in with a different user. Let's create with this email this time. So now the user is here. Let's go to Versal. We go to logs. Now, as you can see, we got this request /API/webhooks, and we got this message user created, which we defined here inside the route.js here. So now easily in the occasions of creation, update or deletion, we can send some request and send some data. And based on that data, we can save those data inside our database, which in our case is MongoDB. So in the next section, we're going to install MongoDB, Mongoose, and also we're going to create our database. And also using this webhook, we're going to send all the information of the user to the MongoDB. So see you in the next section. All right, in the last section, we have connected our clerk and sync it with our application using webhooks. In this section, we're going to work on installing Mongoose and MongoDB, and we're going to send data from clerk to the Mongoose using our webhook. So what we want to do here, first, we want to go to MongoDB website and create our application. We just search MongoDB. We go to mongodb.com. So we need to sign in. It's free to use. So here I'm going to sign in with my Google account. Once you're inside your application, you can just create a new project. I'm going to, let me see here. You just create a new project. I just call it Next of app. We can just click on next. We create the project. And then here we click on create a cluster. We want to choose the free version, which has a shared RAM. That's fine. We can just test it. And then we can click on create deployment. After that, they're going to give us the username and password. We're going to create the database with this username and password. And then we're going to choose a connection method. I'm going to choose the driver. We need to install MongoDB. So let's install MongoDB and also Mongoose. Let's go back to Visual Studio Code. Let's clear this. And here we want to install MongoDB and Mongoose. And also we want to add this one to our environmental variable. I'm going to copy this and paste it here inside the .env.local file. I'm just going to call it MongoDB URI and then paste the code here. So this is the username, this is the password. You don't need to change anything. So once we create this one, we need to connect to our MongoDB using Mongoose. So inside, let me show you this diagram here. So as you can see, now we want to create the MongoDB part. As you can see, we're going to create a folder called lib. Let me zoom here. So we're going to create a folder called lib and then our library. It's going to have 3 folders: actions, models, and MongoDB. Using this file, we want to connect to MongoDB. Then we want to create our model, which is the rules of our application. And then we're going to have some actions. Actions is kind of functions we want to create for a user. For example, we want to create or update or delete the users using this action. So first thing first, I want to create these 2 folders and this Mongoose. So here inside the app directory, I'm going to create a folder called, let me see if we put it here. Inside the, no, it's not in the app directory, it's in src folder. Let me delete this. So it's inside the src. So let's create a folder called lib, and then we're gonna have MongoDB, and then we're gonna have Mongoose.js. So here we're gonna create our connection here using that Mongoose that we have installed. It's very easy to connect. First, we need to import Mongoose from Mongoose. And then we're going to create a variable called isConnected or initialize false. So, and then we're going to export default, not default, we're going to export a function called connect. And this is going to be asynchronous. And we're going to use mongoose.set. And this is going to set, we want to use the strict query method, and we set it to be true. And then we just say if the initialize is true, then we want to just console log MongoDB is already connected. So this is going to prevent a connection if it's really connected. So it's going to save us some requests. And then if it's not connected, we want to use the try and catch method to connect. So we want to use await here, and we're going to use a method called connect. We want to pass our URI, and then we want to just set the DB name first. I want to set it to be, for example, Next Auth app. Then we want to set the user. This is going to prevent some errors. So I'm going to set these two, and then let's close it. That's enough. That is for the try. So if this one is successful, we want to console log MongoDB connected, and also we want to set the initialize to true. But if an error happens, we just want to console log the error. Okay, so this is going to be error. Let's close this. After closing this one, so now we have the connection functionality. After this one, we're going to create the other files, the model. And then at the end, we want to create the action. So the next step, let me create another folder called models. Then we have user.model.js. So for the model, we need to import Mongoose. And then here, we want to create the schema first, which is the user schema. We use mongoose.schema to create that. We want to have a few things. For example, we want to have the clerk ID because we want to save the clerk ID in case we want to use it later. So the type is going to be string. And also we want to create it required. And also this is going to be unique. Let's close this first. Unique. Okay. After the clerk ID, we're going to have the email. We don't want to make it unique, as the clerk is going to save more than one email. We want to just remove that because a person can have multiple emails. So I'm going to remove that in case we don't get an error. Then we're going to have first name, which is going to be string required. Then we have last name. After last name, we're going to have username, photo ID or avatar. We can call it avatar. Doesn't matter. Then we want to close this. And then for saving the time of creation and update, we want to add something called timestamp true. So which is going to save us 2 extra information, created at and updated at. And then we're going to have, we're going to export this user. First, we want to check if there is a model. If there is no model, we want to create the model using this user schema. And then we want to export default that user. And this one shouldn't be export. Just create the cons. Export is here. So now it's correct. Okay. So this is for the model. After the model, we're going to create the action. So let's create another file called actions, folder. And then we're going to have user.js. So let me delete this. I think I made 2 folders instead. So actions, user.js. Okay, now let's create our action. First, I want to import our model that we have created. Models, user.model. Then we want to import the connection that connects this function in the Mongoose. We have this function connect. We want to import that. Okay. Then we want to create some functions. First, we want to create a function for creation and update of the user. We can combine them. You can create it separately, create user or update user, but there is a method you can use to do both of them at the same time. So we just say create or update user, and this is going to be asynchronous. The things we want to get as the input, we want to get the ID, we want to get the first name. These are coming from Clerk, and it should be matched with Clerk. If you go to Clerk and we go to event.log, you can see if you search for example, user creation, you can see we get this data, email underline address, and we'll get the first email underline addresses. For example, we get first name like this, first underline name. So we have to follow these rules. For example, for image URL, we have image underline URL. So I'm gonna, based on this one, get the information. So the user first name is going to be first name like this, and then we can have last name. We have image underline URL. Then we get the email underline addresses because we can have more than one address. And then we're gonna have username. So once we have this function, we wanna first connect to the MongoDB using the connect method. And then we wanna create the user. We just say await, we use our user model. We just say find one and update. We pass the ID first, which is going to be Clerk ID. And then we wanna check. We wanna use the method called set. Set is going to check which part is updated, and then it's going to update that. So it can be first name. So if you remember, we created the first name here in the model like this. So first name is camel case. So we want to use it the same way here. So first name is going to be that first name. Then we have last name. We have avatar, which is image that underline URL. Email is going to be the first email. So because any person can have multiple emails, so we're gonna have only one of them saved in our MongoDB, and then we're gonna have the username, which has the same name. And then we wanna close this, and then we wanna say new true and also upsert true. Upsert true means if the user is not available now, it's going to create it. So if it existed, just update it. If it doesn't exist, it's going to create it. So upsert true is mandatory here. And this is going to return the new one. So this one is going to create, and then we're gonna close this. Let me close it. And then we're gonna return the user, close this function, and let's see. Okay. Let's put everything inside a try and catch. So in case we get an error, we can create it. So we just say try. Try is going to be this. And then we're gonna have the catch, the error, and then we're gonna console log the error. Okay. So we're gonna try first connecting, then create the user or update the user. We return the user and then console log. So this is for creation and update. What about for deletion? So deletion is going to be similar. So export const, this is going to be delete user. Delete is going to get only the ID, which is the Clerk ID. And we're gonna try first, we connect to the database, and then we're gonna await user.find one and delete, and we're gonna pass this Clerk ID here. And then in case there is an error, we're gonna catch the error, console log error deleting user. Let's close this. So now we have two actions, delete user, and also we have create or update user. So now in our webhooks, we can define if, for example, user dot created or user dot update trigger use this function. If this one, the event type is deleted, then use this function, delete user. So let's add this one here. So I'm gonna update this one to be both for user created and user updated, okay? And then instead of just console logging, Let's do, I think, okay, I missed down here. So here, we're gonna call that function. So first we wanna get the information from the data. We just say, we wanna get the ID, first name, last name, image URL, image addresses, and username, which are coming from event.data. In case that there is no event, I'm gonna add a question mark so we don't get an error. We can do it here as well. So here we're gonna have this data, and then what we want to do next is to use the try and catch statement. First, we want to console log the error. So we console log the error for here, and also we want to return a new response. We just say error occurred and then a status, for example, 400. And then for the try, we want to first, we want to await. We use that function that we have created here, create or update user. Let's call that function, create or update user. I'm going to import it as well. And then we want to pass this ID, first name, username, and etc. After that, we're going to return with a new response with the message, user is created or updated. And then the status is going to be 200. So this is for creation and update. And for the deletion or delete, let's do the same things here. So first we want to get the ID, and then we want to try and call that delete user function. Let's import it, and we're going to pass that ID. And we're going to return a response. User is deleted with a status of 200, and then we're going to have that cache to cache the. So try, let's close this. This is going to be cache, console log the error, and also we're going to return the new response with the status of 400. Now let's close this. See if we get an error here. I think everything is okay now for our application to test. Well, first things we need to do is to add our environmental variable, a new one, the MongoDB URI, to our Versal. So let's go to Versal. Here we go to our application setting. Let's go back, setting environmental variable, and we paste it here. And then we want to deploy this one as well. So this is going to be add MongoDB and Mongoose and connect it, and or we can say I want to save data, user data from Clerk. Okay, let's commit and push this. Let's add everything first and then commit and push it. So let's go to Versal and we go to deployments. Now you can see it's deploying now. After the building, we're going to test the final version and we see everything is going to be saved in our database or not. So we wait for that. All right, the application is ready. Let's go to the final version. Let's see it create a new event and we see what happens. So let's log out here. So I'm gonna delete all the users from the our application inside Clerk, so we can have a new user there. Okay, so let's go here and then sign in with our Google account. Okay, so now we are logged in. Let's add the username. So now we are inside the application. We are logged in. Let's check the MongoDB. We go to database. We click on browse collection. And here, all right, seems like our data is not saved. Actually, I forgot to have the access from other places. So if you go to network access, you can see only this IP address, which is my computer address, is allowed to send requests to this database. But our Versal database is different. Our IP address is different. So what we can do here, we can add the IP address 0000. So, and then we can confirm it. So this is going to allow all the addresses to have access to this database. So once this one is confirmed, we can try it again in our application. Okay, now it's active. So let's go to our application here. Let's refresh the page. I'm gonna sign in again with one of my Google accounts, for example, this one. Okay, so now we are inside. Let's go to our database, and then we go to the browse collection. Let's refresh the page. All right, so we're still not getting the data. I just got the console log here. So they said invalid namespace next of app. So if you look at our application name here, database name, we just put it like this. It cannot have a space. So we're gonna connect them like this. So this is going to fix it. So I'm gonna just deploy this one again. So this is going to say update DB name. So let's commit and push. Let's go to Versal and we go to deployment. Let's wait for the deployment first. All right, so let's try our application again. I'm just gonna update this one, update this username. For example, I just say Sahand2. Let's save this. Let's check our database. Let's refresh the page. Hopefully we get it now. Okay, now we have our next auth app. Now you can see the name is confirmed. And the user is here with the first name, Sahand. Second name, let me zoom this one a little bit. Okay, so you can see now we have the first name, last name, updated at, it's a username, clerk ID, and avatar, which is from the clerk image.clerk.com. So let's add another user. For example, let's sign out here and then we're gonna log in again. For example, this Gmail. Let's create a username. Let's refresh the page here. So now we have 2 users in our database. Let's try to delete one. So we have tested the update. We have tested the creation. Let's try to delete this user. So now if we refresh this page, we can see that we only have 1 user, and the user that we have deleted is also deleted from our database. So that was it for this section for adding the data from Clerk to MongoDB using the webhook. So see you in the next section. All right, so in the last section, we have completed the MongoDB part of our project. In this section, we're going to just complete the home and the about section like the one in the final version. I'm not going to code it line by line. I'm just going to paste it here and then explain the code. Let's go to Visual Studio Code and we go to pages that we have. So we have about page. Let me just paste the code here. So what we want to add here is just some text. First, we have a title saying about, then we have 3 paragraphs. And finally, we have some link tags for the GitHub repository and also the Clerk documentation. Let's see what we have now in our application. Where was it? Here. Let's go to about page. So we have this page, this image. The only difference for the home page is the orientation. So let's complete the home page as well. Let's just paste the code. So it's the same code, but with the different flex type here. We have flex column instead. So let's see what we have. We have home page and we have the about page. So let's add this one to the GitHub. So this is going to complete our project. So this is going to be complete home and about pages. So we can commit and push. So now if we check our GitHub repository and we refresh the page, you can see that now we have all the code. It's completed. So I'm gonna give you this code, this one in the link in the description. You can have it. And also I'm gonna share with you this eraser.io so you can use it for your own reference. I hope you enjoyed the project and let me know your opinion about this project. See you in the next one.